Chelsea. Today we are going to practice some mobility so we can get stronger in our areas around our hips and back. So I'm sitting on top of a cushion and I also have two blocks available next to me. They're not essential, but they are going to help your practice massively. So if you've not got blocks, maybe grab some books or a pile of books. But yeah, I will give modifications for those of you who don't have it. So let's get started. So for the first one, we are going to sit back on our bum. And I just want you to come down onto your bum, keeping your knees nice and flexed. Taking those palms backwards, you can either point those fingertips forward or back, whatever you prefer. And just shift those knees from the left side to the right side. So if you are somebody who is quite sedentary, sitting in an office or a desk job, sitting down for a lot of meetings, your hips have probably not given you the capacity to be open, and they may hold a lot more tension. So before we can practice strengthening, we do need to open and reduce stress around this area, reduce tightness around this area. So keep shifting left to right. You may notice the more and more you do this, the knee is now coming to the ankles, and you're able to increase that range of movement, which is a good thing. And again, the more you do this, the more able you are going to get to just feel that body. Feel the range of movement. Okay, so this time what I'm going to do is move my pillow aside and I'm going to lay all the way back down onto the mat. So just making sure that you can find a nice neutral position. So before we do anything, feet are flat on the floor and just rock your pelvis from left to right. You want to make sure your lower back is pushing into the ground. Come back to a balanced position and now forward, flex and back, yeah? In this position, palms are down and just lift that right leg up to a 90 degrees and start drawing circles with the knee on the ceiling. But before we do anything else, keep your lower back pushing into the mat. For some of you, you might want to take your left hand and pop it on your left hip. Try not to move this left hip. So it is about moving the right hip, and you may want to start with small circles, and then you may want to widen those circles, especially if you found you've got a nice secure left hip. So we're trying not to move the left hip, we're trying to engage our abdominals. We're utilizing our hip flexors here because we're strengthening the left side in that semi-flexed position. We're mobilizing our right, strengthening our left. Squeezing the abdominals by pushing your lower back into the floor, and you will get a little bit more stability around that left hip. Beautiful. Pause here and circle the other way. So you may want to start off small again before we go a little bit wider. Beautiful. So this is a really nice way of getting your abdominals engaged, firing up those legs, because your left glute and your hamstring are working just by flexing the foot on the floor, right? Just a couple more here. Good. Before we do anything else, bring that right knee towards your chest. Like really hug that right knee towards your chest. So taking that palm on the shin, keeping your left foot flexed. This time, taking the right foot and flex the foot up to the sky. You may just want to hold the back of the right leg. So as you notice, my left hand is on my left hip. My right hand is on my right hamstring. And I'm flexing the toes, flexing the foot up to the sky. For those of you who find this fairly easy, you may want to clasp your hand around the outside of the foot, and you may feel that this feels a little bit more challenging, but not painful, because none of this should be painful. You may feel tightness around your hip or your right hip, but remember, the longer we stay here, we are going to ease into this position. For those of you who feel more comfortable in extending the left hip, please do so. So we're opening up our left hip now, we're flexing our right, and just be gentle with this side. So you might have one side that is a little bit more tender than the other, and that's okay. We are going to balance it out, but for now I want you to breathe in this position. So we're going to hold it for 1 minute. Inhale through the nose, close your eyes if you need to. Really investigate what your right hip is telling you. Allow the muscles to relax and release any tension around that right hip. Allow the right knee to draw into the right armpit. You may not even be there, but that's okay. Just be where you are now. Allow your body to breathe where it is now. Five more breaths here. Bend that right knee, bend that left knee, pop your left knee onto the mat, pop your right knee onto the mat, and just hold here. Take both hands on your hips and just breathe here for 3 breaths. Now this is purposeful, just to say, how does a right hip feel right now? How does a left hip feel? Feeling the difference between them both. Ensuring your lower back is pushed into the mat. Keep your right foot flexed onto the mat and raise your left leg up to 90 degrees. I'm going to transfer my left hand onto the mat to give me that stability, but keeping my right hand on my right hip. Circle with that left knee. Small circles. And you might find that your right hip is probably rocking a little bit more. So you might need to engage your abdominals and your lower back, pushing into the mat. That little bit more awareness, a little bit more intention on one side over the other. I know I have to really engage my abdominals to keep my right hip solid. So just figure out what you need at this time. Breathe into this space. And as your knees are circling possibly a little bit wider, pause at center and circle the other way. Start with your narrow circles. Squeeze in the abdominals. Keep your torso and your right hip grounded. And when you feel comfortable, circle that left hip. That left knee is circling, giving that range of movement to that left hip. And because we stretch the left hip, you might find that this side might be a little bit easier. Or you may not, right? Beautiful. Before we do anything else, flex that left foot up to the sky and just clasp around that left hamstring. Now you might want to you need to generously bend this knee. And it may be quite far away from you, and that's okay. This could be your happy baby position. And if you want to go further, we're going to take the clasp around the left foot, drawing that knee in towards our armpit. And this again could be enough for you. For those of you who want to extend that right foot, hold here for 10 breaths. Three more breaths here. You might find your left knee is coming a little bit closer. Your right side is opening that little bit more. 2 more breaths. And then let go of that left leg, plant it down into the floor, flex that right foot, and just take both hands back onto the hips and just feel what you feel right now from left to right hip. Our next position will be keeping our hands on our hips, making sure your feet are hip distance apart, and just push your feet into the floor. For those of you who've done my sessions before, you know what's happening here. As you're pushing your feet into the floor, you're feeling your hamstrings, your glutes engage. Stay in this position. You're forcing your feet into the floor without actually doing anything, but you're isometrically working those muscles in order for you to push into a glute bridge. 2 more breaths here. So keep focusing on pushing those feet into the ground. You might start to shake a little bit. I certainly am. Keep pushing the ground away. 1 more breath here. As you push your feet into the floor, now allow your hips to lift up. It's like rocket fuel, right? You are building up all of that energy in those legs, all the energy into the hamstrings and glutes, and now you get to raise up. We still want to descend our rib cage, so we're not flaring out our rib cage. We're pulling our navel into the spine, and we're holding this glute bridge up. In this position, we're really opening up our hip flexors. By doing this, we're squeezing our glutes. You may want to take your hands underneath your bum and squeeze the bum. You may lift up and open the hips a little bit more. But because we've already done some hip openers, this should feel a little bit more engaging in the hamstrings and glutes. So just make sure your knees are stacked over your ankles. Your shoulders are bearing the brunt of this work, and you're pushing your big toe mound, your little toes, your heels into the ground. 2 more breaths here. Keep squeezing the abdominals and the glutes so you're preventing any tension around your lower back. Take a deep breath in here. And basically we're going to go for pulses. So we're going to drop down for 60 pulses. It sounds a lot, but sometimes for some people, they really need to activate those glutes. So we're going to do slow control movements. And when our hips reach that open hip flexor position, we're going to squeeze our bum. So every time we lower, We're going to relax, but squeeze our hamstrings and glutes at the top. So keep going with me. As we're doing this, we're opening up our hip flexors, we're getting our lower back stronger, and we're supporting our lower back through the strength of our glutes. So keep squeezing as you pull up. Now, really push your feet into the ground. Keep pressurizing those feet to do the work. And start to relax everything from your chest upwards. So everything from the chest, the shoulders, the neck and the head is not doing any work. Allow your upper body to relax. Good. So that has been 12 on my mat. So keep going, steady pace. Try not to rush it. If you need a break, just bring your knees to the chest and come back when you are ready. So we don't want to be hurting the lower back. If at any point you're feeling your lower back, it's because your hamstrings and glutes haven't engaged as much. And that's okay. That's what we're here to do, practice, right? So as we've opened up our hips, we're now strengthening our hips by opening them up and squeezing our glutes. Good. Keep breathing, keep pulsing. Keep pushing your feet into the mat. This is 20 on my mat. Keep pushing that big toe mound into the mat. 23. 24. Big range of movement here. 25. Good technique and slow controlled movements. 26. Squeezing glutes at the top, squeezing hamstrings. 27, 28, 29, good, halfway now, keep squeezing. Keep pushing those feet into the ground. This is 44 for me. Keep squeezing the glutes. 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, good, last 10, 51, 52, keep squeezing, keep that integrity of the position. 53, keep pushing those feet into the ground. 54, this is it, we're almost there. 55, 56, 57, 58, listen carefully, 59, on that last one we hold up, 60, hold, push those palms into the ground this time, lift up those hips, 3 more breaths. Now if you don't have any props, come all the way down to your back. If you've got a pillow, take the pillow before you come down and just place it on your lower back. If you've got blocks, which I should have said, if you've got blocks, take one of those blocks, keep those hips high, and then you can either take it on the lower setting or the flattest setting, and I just want you to place it underneath that sacrum. So we're going to hold here and absorb all of the work that we've just done, And allow our hips to remain open, our palms open to the sky, and hold this position. So again, we've done some hip openers, then we've done some strength, and now we're back to being supported in this position, keeping our hips nice and open. Focus on the inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Focus on what's relaxing now. Maybe your calves, maybe your hamstrings, maybe your glutes, maybe your lower back. For those of you who want to stay here, stay here. If you want to extend those legs out long, you can do so, but remember this is going to be a little bit more stretch around those hip flexors. So choose what your body needs today. Use your own discernment and allow yourself to receive. Letting go of the tension around those thighs, around those hips. And having the capacity to move in a more fluid, dynamic, energetic way. 2 more breaths here. Beautiful. Pick up that leg if you had it extended, drop it back into that foot position onto the floor. Same with the right foot, and push up with those hips. Let the block go now, release it to the side, and just lower your whole body down to the mat and just hold here. So keeping the feet flexed, hold here. Now again, if you've got your blocks, I'm going to take both blocks, and as I widen up my feet and my knees, I'm going to take the blocks just underneath the knees. So you might have seen this in a Shavasana that I did in the yoga inspired practice. But this one, again, we're keeping the hips nice and open. We're opening up the inside thighs, and we're going to stay here for 3 breaths. This is going to definitely help us in the next position. So let's just enjoy this rest. Beautiful. This time close those knees and then just move over to the side, remove the block, and we're going to come straight over to our front. So taking yourself over to the front and just take your palms on top of each other and flex the feet here. So you may want to look up just for a second, and all I'm going to do is rock my knees, my feet from side to side, just like we did when we were seated. Now the different thing is here we are going to take that right foot, extend the left foot, we're going to take that right foot and we're going to take it up over towards, if you've got a block, pop it on the block, if it's on the floor, pop it on the floor. So again, we're just opening up our right hip. Now, as you take your right leg back into extension, stay laying down and bring that knee about 90 degrees up and keeping the whole leg flexed. So your knee is in line with your hip, your ankle is in line with your knee, and your foot is flexed. Now, I'm a little bit sneaky. I'm using the gap in my sofa to actually flex my foot and keep my position here. So 5 breaths here, opening up the left hip, flexing the right, and breathe. Beautiful. Drop that knee back into extension and then take your left leg over and open up that left hip. Keeping that right leg extended. So normally we do this with our arms, but we're just doing it with our lower body. 4 breaths here. Beautiful. Just come back into center. Now this time taking that left knee and flexing it to that 90-degree angle and flexing the foot. Beautiful. Stay here for 1 minute. Lower that left leg back again and just hold here for a moment. Pick yourself up onto your knees and then open those knees out wide and come into a wide-legged child's pose and hold here. Opening up that lower back. Five more breaths here. Beautiful. Slowly look up and then just come up to a seated position just for now. I'm going to show you the final pose that we're going to be doing with support. Okay, so basically what I would like to do is taking those knees nice and wide apart, and I'm going to be flexing my feet. So on the side, what you'll be able to see is my knee is in line with my ankle and I'm flexing the foot. So that's what I want to be doing. I'm going to be sneaky as well. I'm going to keep my feet flexed in terms of pushing them back against the sofa. Now, for a lot of you, this could be enough. You may want to put a blanket underneath your knees just for some comfort. Just make sure your knees are directly over your ankles. Now, the reason I've got 2 blocks here is I want to make sure that I am descending my upper body. So in this position, I want to make sure the blocks are almost supporting my chest, and I'm going to bring my hands forward. Now what I'm trying to do is traction my fingertips on the floor and push my hip backwards a little bit more. So I'm not actually leaning my whole body on the block, but I want to maintain that neutral pelvis and open up my thighs, open up the hips, the inside hips, and I'm pushing and tractioning. So I'm pushing my hips backwards and opening up in this position. So we are going to stay here for 5 minutes. So if at any point you feel uncomfortable, please do come out of this position. But the whole point of being uncomfortable is for your body to relax and open into this position. So it's not going to be easy by no means, but the whole point of this one is we're actively opening up our hips. We're allowing our body to relax into this position, and then we're deepening that stretch in the inside thighs. So keep breathing here. Close down your eyes. Breathe here. Keep that belly active. And allow your thighs to just dissipate that tension. That was 1 minute gone, guys. So you're doing good so far. Keep breathing, breathing in through the nose. Keep the belly active. Relax the shoulders away from those ears. This is a very deep stretch. But keep breathing in through the nose. You may find you need to adjust your position as your hips are going backwards, slowly, slowly. Or you may feel this is enough stretch for you and you just want to hold here 2 more minutes. Keep focusing on the inhale, focusing on the exhale. This is such a good hip opener. Releasing any tension around the lower back, the kidneys, the hips, the thighs. Good, 1 more minute. Keep breathing in through the nose. 5 more breaths. Last breath here. Forcing the energy back into those arms, and then just remove those blocks. But you're going to hinge forward as much as you possibly can. Bend those knees and move those knees towards you. So essentially, I'm coming into this position. Yeah. Take those hands on top of each other. Rest your forehead and just rock your hips from side to side. Lengthen both legs out behind you and just stay here for 5 more breaths. Bring those arms alongside your chest, bend the knees, sit back into those hips. Final position, child's pose. This should feel so much more different than when you did it like 10 minutes ago. Breathe here. 2 more breaths. Last breath, look up. Walk those hands back. And thank you so much for joining me for this nice hip opener. I hope you found that they do feel a little bit more loose. And make sure you drink a lot of water just so you're cleansing and flushing out anything that may have come up in that session. Don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, so more people can find videos like this. I'll see you on the next one for your back tension relief short workout. Bye for now.